Sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. Good afternoon, listeners. Good afternoon. This is WMNF, WMNF.org. You're listening to The Conversation. My name is Mario Nunez, and we're so grateful that you're there listening to us today. Today, I'm seated alongside each and every week like I do, my broadcast partner,
Joe King Carter.
That's your cue, Joe. That's your cue. Jump right in there. Don't be bashful.
Hey, good afternoon, brother. It's good to be here.
It is a good afternoon. And, you know, Wednesdays, I was thinking about this morning on the drive-in. They're coming at us fast and furious. I mean, I look at Jessica, and I feel like we were just here a couple of days ago, and that was a week ago already.
I know. When you have an obligation that marks a day of the week, it makes that week turn over fast, doesn't it? It's interesting.
And when we're in the middle of the week, hump day, hump hour, I mean, it's just perfect.
We're at the tippy top.
We're at the tippy top. I like that. There's your first bell ring of the day. Let's hear it for tippy top, everybody. So, Joey, tell me anything going on in your life this week, or something you want to share with us here?
Oh, well, you know, it was as many weeks are. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. It was hot. Mm-hmm. I had my little problems, but I did do some brawling, a little fighting this week.
God, let us know more about that.
Yeah, I had to get down, and I had to make it happen. And it was that I was working with our new Facebook page. For the conversation.
All right.
And, you know, I've created about a half dozen Facebook pages over the years, and they were always really simple. And now Meta has gotten involved. And when you go into the dashboard, it is complex. And so I fought, but the good news is I won. And now
you fought the law, and the law won. You won, Joe.
I fought the social media.
A good fight.
And I won. And so we now have our new The Conversation Facebook page.
Can you tell them what the official title is of the page so that they can go there and like us and follow us?
Absolutely. The Conversation WMNF. Please go. Please like us. Follow us. Do both. Just don't do one. And we're very excited. We're going to be using that page for a lot of ancillary information, some additional fun stuff, and we hope to make it informative, entertaining, and connected to the community.
And we'll keep you informed as to what the events might be upcoming that involve the conversation, where you might be able to come out and meet Joe and I at an event. And there is one happening pretty soon. Do you know what that might be, Joe?
Well, I think it might have something to do with...
With the dude?
With the dude.
Who abides.
Who abides. The dude abides, and he bowls.
For those of you that consider yourselves keglers, because I think that's how the sports writers used to name bowlers back in the day.
Correct.
You're welcome to come out and join us. This is a WMNF-sponsored event. It is going to be August the 18th at Pin Chasers on Armenia between 1 and 3 o'clock. For those of you old-timers, we used to call it Regal Lanes. Now it's Pin Chasers, part of the Pin Chasers family. And it's a fundraiser for WMNF. And we encourage everybody to come out, have fun, meet the programmers, including yourself and myself, Joe. We're going to have teams. It's real easy to do. It's on our website. You can sign up presently. And listen, if you have a challenge that you'd like to issue out there to people, you know, this might be a good time to bring your team and see what you got.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, if you've got a challenge you'd like to issue, you know, this might be the time to do it. Or not.
And come out and meet us. Come out to Pin Chasers and meet us. I will be regaled in full regalia.
Yes, and the dude will be there.
If you'd like to have a hug, I'll give you one.
The dude will be there. We know that for a fact. The dude will be there.
The dude will be there. And I want to say to everybody, it will be right up your alley.
Ooh, Joey, out the gate, dropping the puns. Way to go, kid. Way to go. So who do we have in studio with us today, King Carter?
Susan is still laughing.
Yes, she is, of course. Introduce our guest. We're 10 minutes
with
in.
us today, I'm excited, we have State Representative Susan Valdez.
Say hello, Susan.
Well, hi, everybody. I am just enjoying this conversation. I wish the folks out there could see the dynamics in this room. It's fabulous. Good to be here with you today.
Well, it's even better now that you're with us, Susan.
Thank you
there
so
you go.
much.
We like to think we bring the joy. We like to think we bring the fun. And we hope that everybody out there listening is kind of vibing on that.
Well,
with
we're
us.
about culture and community, and culture and community is about connection, and connection is more than just giving you topical information. It's a way to connect with everybody. So Susan, what we like to do here before and I know you have a lot of information to share. You have a lot of things you're involved in as a state representative, but for District 64?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. But before we go there, let's just stop for a moment. We like to talk about personal narratives here a little bit, and you don't get a chance probably to do that very often. And so let's talk a little about where Susan grew up and her childhood and her family and some of that bio information.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much for allowing me to go back a little bit in time and just reminisce a little bit of days on yonder, right?
Yes. As we like to say.
Because, it's true. Time goes by so fast and it doesn't wait on anyone. And then some of these little things that you have an opportunity to talk about, just shooting the fat and just talking.
Correct.
That'll bring you back to, so thank you for that. So,
well, you're welcome.
I'm first generation American born of Cuban immigrants. My parents migrated from Cuba back in the 1950s. And apparently, back then, apparently relations were normal between the countries in which they could travel to and from. And, and my mom and dad fell in love with New York City. New York City is just such an exciting place to be. Have a little bit of everything for everybody in the city. Mm-hmm. And so they migrated and they made a life here. And unfortunately, as time went by, my family dynamics kind of sort of shifted. The regime happened, and my two eldest sisters winded up staying in Cuba, while my mom and my dad and my brother, which was the youngest at the time, because I'm that oops baby.
The bonus dividend, as they say.
Absolutely. They were here in the United States. So Daddy, unfortunately, never had an opportunity to have all his children at a dinner table because he passed away when I was at the age of 10. And by that time, we had migrated from New York City to Florida by the age of 8. But my time I want to talk a little bit about the time in New York City, because you tend to wonder, we lived in a 14th floor of a 16th floor project building, better known today as condominiums, by the way. And, it was hard for me to go downstairs to go play, because think about it, I was growing up in the city in the late 60s, early 70s, where there was a different type of hype going on. The race wars were happening, the discomfort of...
Rep, where were you in New York? What part of New York City?
The Bronx.
There you go. We want to be specific because there are 5 boroughs.
Yeah,
so
there are
that's right.
5 boroughs, that's right. And, the Bronx was hot, and rightfully so. I get it. I understand why it was hot. We were right in the middle of the action, of which, as a little girl, I didn't know what the action was, until I...
Or how to process it.
Or how to process it, right? So it was very dangerous for us to go downstairs and play. So my mom and dad allowed me to go up 2 floors and down 2 floors and create friends and, and play that way. So I loved books. I loved coloring. I loved all that kind of stuff. So I wrote a letter to Santa, and I told Santa that when I grew up, I wanted to be a teacher, and I needed the stuff, right? So I needed the ABC border and, of course, the pointer with the red tip and the red pen and, all of the workbooks and stuff. And, Christmas came about, and I wish I would have saved this letter from Daddy. I hope there aren't any kids listening to this.
Maybe a couple.
Oh, I hope not.
Well, what happened was Santa gave the information over to Daddy, and he wrote the letter.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And the letter said that that being a teacher was a very noble, in Santa's English at that time was
Little broken. Little Ricky Ricardo, maybe.
A little bit of that.
Of course.
But said that being a teacher was a noble profession, and one that you can really change the world. And I wish I would have kept that note because, wow, who was ever going to say that little note? Because when Daddy passed away, and in Miami, when we transitioned to Miami, and Daddy passed away 2 years later, it really rocked my world. I saw Daddy's here today one day and gone the next, and it's like, why? And Mom raised me by herself. She never had a boyfriend ever again. She never remarried. She dedicated her life to raising me. So that built upon a sense of duty for me in return. Mm-hmm. So, of course, if there are kids out there, listen to your mama.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
Listening to that, because if I would have listened to my mom, and although I'd been married for 42 years to my husband, Jerry, and
shout out to Jerry.
Yes. And, we're have a great life together, and our family, our kids are a blessing. And, but if I would have listened, if I would have listened to my mom, God only knows where our family would have been, right? But things happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. So it was a very interesting time growing up, because there was a lot of questions that you had as a kid. Why did Daddy leave? You didn't understand.
Life is very complicated, and for the little ones, it's even more so.
Absolutely, Mario, and it's something that it took a while to process. That it was.
You were Daddy's little girl.
Absolutely,
and one day Daddy's just not. Yeah,
and the oops baby.
So there was more attention placed on that because I
was the youngest, and he had missed. So my parents missed out so much between my eldest sisters, that it was like, wow, so it was crazy. But anyways.
So you made it up to Tampa?
We made it up to Tampa after Daddy passed away, because Mommy had family here.
Uh-huh.
And went to West Tampa Junior High School.
Oh, right now? The Greyhounds?
Cuesta.
The Greyhounds? West Tampa Junior High?
I believe they were the Greyhounds, but my very first school was Booker T. Washington.
All right, okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, BT Washington. And, oh my gosh.
City girl.
All the way.
All the way.
But let me tell you, I share something really funny with you. I could hear my echo. That was something that as a kid, you're like, what was that? Because when we moved from New York City to Miami at the time was really literally a farm with lights. And when we visited Tampa was even a bigger farm with less lights, right? So, wow, what's that? A mango tree. Oh, my God. I got so sick off of eating mangoes and aguacates, right?
Yeah, the avocado trees.
That you don't see that in New York City, right? So it was a huge culture shock talking about culture when you first moved.
Right. Different community as well.
Completely.
From New York to Miami, that's one, and then from Miami to Tampa.
Exactly. And in Miami, we're in Hialeah. So,
it seemed like it kept getting más tranquilo, more settled down, quieter, maybe a little less pace.
Yes,
Tampa was very small. And
when we came up to Tampa, we lived in Ybor City, right by the clock tower.
Why not?
Yes. And then shortly thereafter, we moved to Drew Park and went to Pierce Middle School.
Archers.
Go Archers. And, of course, graduated from, I know you're my rival, but I love you anyways.
Dale, no.
Because, Dragons and Falcons is just one same family.
That's right.
It really is.
So dragons are just bigger. They both have wings, but dragons are bigger and breathe fire. But we weren't even counting that.
But then we'll go around and just peck right at you and you can't catch us.
I love it.
But definitely, then I graduated from Leto High School, and then that's when I met my husband, Jerry, and we married and had our family. And then later on, went back to school, got my degree in business administration with Nova Southeastern University. And then I got my master's degree from Manhattan College in the Bronx.
You're here.
I had to go back home and flip my tassel.
There you go. How good does that sound? How good did it feel?
Oh my gosh, it felt so
good.
How
rewarding.
Because it was in a community in which I was not supposed to make it.
And you prevailed.
And we prevailed.
And not only did you prevail, but well, the rest of the story is coming up shortly. So we stay tuned because the story is just beginning. Her ascension is just climbing out. If you'd like to join the conversation, let us remind you that we do take calls here.
Ooh,
the phone
that's
number,
great.
813-239-9663. If you'd like to speak with Representative Susan Valdez, also you can send us a text at 813-433-0885. We are standing by reading your emails. The email address is dj@wmnf.org. You're in Tampa. You graduated from Nova. What was it again? In
Lato High School.
Lato High School, and then you graduated your master's degree. We left off with a master's degree. Manhattan College. So you went back up to New York. Now you're feeling good about yourself. You're about what, in your mid-20s, perhaps, or late 20s? Where are you at that point?
So
or
generous,
early 30s? I'm not
At
thinking.
that point, to be honest with you, I earned my master's degree in 2018.
Oh, no, that's right soon. That's just 6 years ago.
Yes.
Well, congratulations on
Thank you.
that. That's a great
And-
achievement. You were already on the school board by that time.
By that time, yes. When I was elected to the school board, I only had my
You're jumping
high school
ahead a little bit.
diploma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take the story back and
there's
give
something
us-
very special. Excuse me, but there's something very special about people who return to school and make that happen. It's a normal trajectory when you're young, but when you make the decision that you're going to go back and do that again as a returning student,
big hill
and
to climb.
as an older, it's
a big hill.
it's a character building moment. Absolutely, it's a growth moment, but it's a very cool thing to do. And my mother did that, by the way, and I get it very well. It's bravo to you.
Thank you. It's just that when you have other responsibilities, such as a family, your wants and desires as an individual, at least for me, went on beyond in the back burner because now it wasn't about me. My time had left for me to be selfish, if you will, because the moment that you create a family, that family and its unity, its well-being comes first, other than your own ambitions. And of course, having a supportive family, supportive husband, supportive mom at the time before she had passed away, she was so excited because she knew, I know that to a certain degree I had disappointed her because I did not go to college right away, right? And but when I told her that when I was going to go back to college, while she was watching her novelas, I would sit there and do my work and whatnot. And she was so proud and so excited about that. That one day I was giving a commencement speech at a university, which no longer exists today. But at the time, it was a very nice thing to do. And Mom had a really good day. It's like, come on, Mommy, let's go with me to this graduate. Said, sure. So we took her in, and I was giving the commencement speech. And when I gave the commencement speech, and the students went, just applauded and all that, sat down. The commencement began. The first diploma that they call out was me. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. That specific university gave me an honorary doctorate in humane letters for the work that we were doing in the community. And Mom being there.
Oh, to witness that.
Hearing my name in
Yes.
her eyes, in her mind, I had graduated with my degree.
Correct.
So then I see a little tear come down.
How special.
And that was super special. And then on the way home, that's when she said, now I can close my eyes because my duty here is done. And I'm like, nuh-uh.
No, Mama, no. Christmas is coming up, and then New Year's. No, Mama, no.
And that was of July of 2011. October of 2011, Mom passes away. And I actually earned my bachelor's degree on Mother's Day weekend, the following year in May from Nova. So I say that story so that if we have listeners out there that are thinking about this, and just continue following your dreams. Don't ever give up on them, because as that little girl that wrote a letter to Santa at that moment, who was going to say that that young lady would be twice chairman of the 8th largest school district as a Hillsborough County Public School Board member?
Hear, hear.
So you never give up on your dreams because you don't know where in education or where you might, everybody has a little path that's been planned for them, right? A destiny is what I would describe it as. And who was ever going to say that that little girl's destiny was to be at that position? So never give up on your dreams.
Would you like to take a phone call? We've got a caller
yes.
waiting, Shirley. And thank you so much for sharing that story, because we know that it's inspirational. We can hear it in your voice. We know how much it meant to you, and certainly it must have meant the world to your mom to have seen that from her baby girl. Caller, you with us? We see you there from Bartow.
Oh, hey. Good afternoon, y'all. Or good morning. Okay, Ms. Susan, I wanted to ask you what year you graduated from LACO. And this is the same one over in Town and Country?
Yes, it is, in Manhattan and Sly, 4409 West Sly Avenue, and I'm class of 82.
Oh, okay, because I was one of the 77, because I was there when it snowed for
oh, my gosh,
okay,
yes.
So
do you remember how everything just stopped because only a little inch and a half of snow? And I'm like, what's this? This is awesome. And coming from the city.
You was it too. Sure did. Okay. All right. I hear y'all talk. I like y'all talk. What are y'all talking about? Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
calling.
you.
We so appreciate that call. No, we were all here that day in 1977 when it snowed. And yes, the city was paralyzed. There were record numbers of one-car collisions because people were driving crazy over the overpasses, not realizing that they were frozen, and cars were spinning out and crashing. But
I made a 24-inch snowman on the hood of my car.
Out by USF, the snow actually accumulated, and it stuck around for a hot minute. I mean,
That's exactly where I was. I was living by USF as a student.
And we have the pictures to prove it, as they say.
That's right.
So you twice chairman of the Hillsborough County School Board, the 7th largest school board in the district in the United States, with a budget of boom, how many billion?
4.4 or something like that.
There you go.
4.4 billion.
Quite an important job that is to be the superintendent of that organization.
Oh, yes, Mr. Ayers. Oh.
Van Ayers, who was in the studio just last week. Cool. And he has his challenges he's facing presently. We know about that. So what inspired you then, speaking of inspiring stories, to make the next natural progression in your ascension and try your hand at representing a district in Tallahassee? Well,
I got to tell you that the school board race was a really interesting story, and that one there, being a practice administrator working with the working poor, I found myself always trying to inspire others to go back to school, and because you're never too old to get retooled, and I found myself, helping a lot of younger couples finding what their passion was and figuring out what it is that they were doing. If they could do things all over again, what they would do different, right? And then inspire them to go do that different thing. So that's how a patient at the time was not doing very well, was sick, lost his job because of diabetes, losing a lot of time at work. We are in the right to work state, so hey, you're gone.
That's problematic.
That is. So I was able to help him become an electrician just by merely helping him fill out the FAFSA, helping him get to Irwin Technical. Shout out to the technical centers out there. And 14 months later, he comes back with a license. He says, I don't know why you did this, but look, I says, I didn't do nothing. You did it all. And you said you wanted to do this because you loved your 3 daughters and your wife. And here you are today. You did it. Now go on and live your life and get off of this public assistance stuff. And, you got your boots and your straps. Now let's go, right? And he says, why don't you just help knucklehead kids like me? And that's how I winded up on the school board.
What a great story.
And then the transition, things were, at the time, we had done so many different changes on the Hillsborough County Public School Board where we had come out from a very dark time on the school board in 2014-15, that chairmanship. And at that time, we had some changes in administration and philosophies. And we got together, changed the strategic plan, got folks in place that to really move the district, move the children's progress in a different trajectory, and we had accomplished a lot. And it was like, well, my goodness. Then Representative Janet Cruz gives me a call. She said, Susan, I need for you to consider coming this way. I want you to succeed me on the Florida House of District 62. And I had just recently gotten reelected to the school board, and I like to fulfill my commitments, you know. And it was like, Susan, you don't understand. We need your voice up there. You need to go up there. And I figured, well, we did a lot on the school board. We left them in a
pretty good position
to keep it moving if they were to continue following that same plan.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, okay, let's go. We took a leap of faith and we did it. And we won the election in District 62 in 2018. So hashtag from the schoolhouse to the state house.
Let's go. Let's go. So Janet Cruz at that point, when she vacated her seat, moved over to the Senate side. So we had two champions working for us here, representing our area in Tallahassee. Yes. Things have changed quite a bit since then.
Yes, they have. Things
have gotten a little more draconian and a little less considerate, maybe you could say. So,
well, less free.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be the freedom state. I don't know exactly what that means. So tell me a little bit about how you feel when you... And Susan, those of us that know you, as we do, know that you go to work with your wrists and your hands taped all the time. You always have your gloves on. Sometimes the gloves have to come off. And, you know, we know that you are a champion and our fighter in fighter. But sometimes you feel like you've got to be you're banging your head against the wall and pushing that ball uphill all the time.
It does feel that way because the way I look at things is, yes, it's important that we pass policies that protect residents of Florida, protect, people.
67 counties.
67 counties. There's so many different, because although I have my party affiliation, I represent everyone in my district.
Absolutely.
I do not ask anyone that comes to my office, oh, you're this, I'm not going to help you. No. I was brought up with the saying in Spanish, haz bien y no mire a quién, do good no matter who. Mm-hmm. And if anyone comes to my office and needs help, we help folks from outside of our district. It's just our nature.
Help is help.
Help is help, and if I know that what we did was able to help an individual have a better day that day, then that brings me joy and my job is done, right? But it's very difficult because you can't teach compassion. You can't teach empathy.
There you go.
You can't teach common sense.
Hear. You learned that in the Bronx. You learned that as a little girl.
Absolutely.
With your mommy and your daddy taking care of you, and your abuelos. That's where that comes from. That's not something that you can get from any curriculum.
No.
There's no curriculum, Empathy 101.
None.
You have that in your soul. Somebody pours that into you, and then you go forth in the world and hopefully pour that into other people. We've got a little break here that we usually take up at the bottom of the hour. Here it comes.
This is Kelly Buttermore, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5, Tampa.
We got the best engineer in the business. You know what I'm saying? She's right on time. She knows just what she's doing. And the fella back there behind us answering the phones, he's doing pretty good too. And if you'd like to join the conversation, wait, that's a great name for a radio broadcast, isn't it? The Conversation. If you'd like to join the conversation, you can call us at 813-239-9663. You can send a text at 813-433-0885. Emails are welcomed as well. DJ@WMNF.org. And we've got a couple of emails, if I could take a minute. Excuse me. And I always get that frog in my throat. I think it's probably the café con leche that I drink. I don't have enough of it. I need to drink more of it.
You need more.
Well, let me read this real quick, if I may. Hi, Mario and Joe. Great show today. I was curious about Susan's take on the efforts to change Florida school board elections from nonpartisan to partisan. This seems an effort to continue the transformation of school boards to much more conservative in policy and practice, as is happening in Sarasota County. I'm distressed by this, our emailer says. And I think that the real indoctrination is being pushed by DeSantis and his weirdo vindictive minions. And this is from David Mr. White Pepper Bryant, who works on the show here on Fridays.
White Pepper.
White Pepper. Thank you, White Pepper, for sending that very, very insightful email and very excellent use of the terms both desadist and weirdo. So
That is a great question.
Isn't that good?
Thank you so much. And yes, let me tell you, I debated that on the floor. Needless to say, I voted no for that on the piece of legislation on the floor of the House. I believe that, first of all, a good teacher, the kids will never know what party affiliation they are, because if they teach facts, right, and teach history, it's going to be all right. This piece of joint resolution that's or amendment that's coming up in the ballot, I'm a hard no on that. I believe that I agree. It's the beginning of being able to say, no, okay, this person is a Republican, therefore it's going to be this kind of way. This person is going to be a Democrat. It's going to be that board's going to be a certain kind of way, and you really it's a disservice to the kids because the kids aren't political pawns, and yet I have to remember where I am because I could say some things that then would not be.
You
so
are
nice.
Speaking on the public airways.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I have to be, but if I really tell you how I feel,
and this is why we love you,
it'll
because
be a little bit more flowerful.
Authenticity always plays, and inauthenticity, I think people they sniff that out right away.
Absolutely.
And the thing is that if we keep politicizing our kids' education, we're doing a disservice because at that point we're going to have an uneducated community, and an uneducated community is a more gullible community. Therefore, you can just only imagine what kinds of taking advantage of our community can
Not
happen.
to mention the public policy that comes behind that.
Correct.
Because if one doesn't know, even something as simple as when we were in high school together, I'm just a few years ahead of you, and Joe's just a few years ahead of me. I mean, we had classes like PAD, which was problems.
Oh my God, PAD,
yeah, problems in
yes.
American democracy, which was a required class, by the way. And there was something before that, the generation before that was called civics, which taught us how elections work, taught us how representative government is supposed to work, and it involved you in the process. Other than that, if you don't get those lessons, that's not something that, unless your mom is Susan Valdez, you're not going to get that at the dinner table.
Correct.
Unless your parents are involved and active in the political process, you're not going to really know how that works.
And there is a reason that art, culture, the arts, and civics, and government, how governments work, have been removed from schools. There's a very specific reason why that's happening. And this is our understanding of civics, I think, is evident even in the people who are now in Congress. You see that they don't really understand how democracy works, because that generation of younger congressmen and women, congressmen and congresswomen, are people that have come through this new system in which we're not educating people properly.
I agree. And I find myself often, especially in my Hispanic, excuse me, you gave me that frog.
I know. I'm spreading it around.
So
With love in my heart.
With the, my Hispanic community is another one that I think we need to educate a little bit more as well, because when you're used to different types of government structures and you come to this great nation and one comes with the promise of the greatness of America, and then they try to infuse their political experiences from their countries and try to infuse them into our system, which is the only system in the world, it's not going to work. So oftentimes I find myself trying to educate folks that, the president is a president. He's not king.
Or
He's
dictator.
Or a dictator. The president, there's the separation of powers. And try to help educate them not only on the federal side, but then on the state side, because I oftentimes get phone calls for people that need help on the federal side, and I have to describe to them what the limits of my authority is. and go from there. So that's when we work with our counterparts in the federal government to help constituents out. But I take every opportunity to try and help educate.
That's the only way it works. And the government is not the problem, as Ronald Reagan once famously stated. It's not. The government is here to help us. But if we really are honest with each other, we are the government. This is we the people. And it starts with your involvement in knowing the issues, voting for, taking the right, your right to vote and exercising it, and certainly doing it in an educated and informed way. But I have another question for you, and this one's kind of a fun question. It's going to go around the room. So, Joey, you're in on this too. King, get ready, because I'm going to go to our guest first, but you're next, and then I'll go last. Little fun, and I want to mention this only because in one of her speeches just the other day, presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris, our sitting vice president, mentioned her when she got her law degree, when she graduated, that her first grade teacher was there, and she mentioned her by name, and of course she has passed since then. And when she told the story, she actually, you could see she got a little verklempt. She kind of, her eyes got misty for a moment, remembering that teacher because she was such a special influence in her life. So that is as the backdrop. We all have had one, maybe two, if we're fortunate enough, three special teachers in our lives that we will always remember. So I want to know where she taught you or he taught you, her name, his name, and the school.
Oh my gosh.
Rep, you go first.
Thank you so much, Mario. Well, mine was John Herbie. He taught me at Leto High School. He taught me the American government. And Mr. Herbie and I had the most unique relationship. In class, we were oil and vinegar. Tastes good together, but just does not mix. I loved him to no end. He was also our class sponsor. But what he wanted me to do was have this passion for history. And he said, Susie, you gotta love history. And I told him, Mr. Herbie, look, let's break it down. His story, that sounds to me like somebody else's gossip. I could prove math, even an algebraic equation.
Has a definitive answer.
It has it's gonna.
You got to get down.
It's gonna equal the other.
That's right.
If it
That's right.
doesn't, it's
go back.
Something's there is wrong.
Go back. You made a
history,
mistake.
I could write a book today, and if it's well written and liked by whomever is in power, that's the history you're going to teach.
And to the victor goes the spoils, right? And the victors usually get a chance to rewrite the history.
Rewrite the history.
Yeah.
So Mr. Herbie looked at me at that moment. I was 16 years old. He goes, Susie, one day you're going to make history, and you're going to change your thought on history. I'm like, yeah, right, Mr. Herbie. I'm from El Barrio. Are you kidding me?
And I'm late for class.
What history am I going to make?
I'm from the barrio.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's ring one for the barrio. Okay?
I'm like, okay, Mr. Herbie, my friends. When I won the election,
Your first election.
my first election, he was still in Hillsborough County Public Schools.
Wow.
Mr. Herbie picked up the phone,
Oh, no. He called you.
called me.
Oh, wow.
Susie? I'm like, wow, it's been a long time since anybody called me Susie. Who's this? Well, this is John. John who? John Herbie. Oh, hey, Mr. Herbie. That's how the phone call went. And he's like, no, it's no longer Mr. Herbie. It's John because you're my boss now. I'm like, Mr. Herbie, you'll always be Mr. Herbie. So Mr. Herbie remembered that conversation from back in 1981. And he's such a he made every class feel as they were the class that walked the halls and the best class ever. Then come to find out, he was the class sponsor for many classes. So he made everybody feel that
special,
way.
yeah.
You know,
The hallmark of a great teacher.
But that's the hallmark,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
And that is the essence of the teacher. So to all of my educators out there, Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those of you that are in Hillsborough County Public Schools, thank you for hanging in there with a thick thread. It's going to get better. But thank you. Thank you so much for what you do to inspire our kids every day.
Thank you for that wonderful story.
That's great. That was a great story.
Joey.
Well, teachers should be paid the pay rate of NFL players, by the way.
Or neurosurgeons.
Yeah, or neurosurgeons. Mine's very easy. I grew up, I'm an artist, a visual artist, among other things. And I was that art kid right from the beginning. And my mother believed that I was the most talented person on earth. And so I'd bring my stuff home in the 5th grade, and she'd clear the living room wall and put it up and invite. And when friends came over, she'd say, "Look what Joe did." So, I was getting that kind of stimulus right in the beginning. When I get to the 7th grade, I had an art teacher. Her name was Barbara Simmons, Mrs. Barbara Simmons. And I had her from the 7th grade to the 12th grade. And she was a remarkable teacher, and she recognized over time she would give each student what they needed as an art teacher. So she was teaching art to kids who weren't really into it, and then she had her little special pupils, and I definitely was one. And she held my hand through a process of teaching courses and techniques and skills about art history, about glazing techniques and old masters painting mediums. She was giving me college-level classes in the 11th and 12th grade, so that when I went to university, I was way ahead, and it was because of her. And I will also say that she is still alive.
Oh.
And if you looked at me, you'd say, that's remarkable. And
Joe, you don't look a day over 70.
Yeah, and she was also principally the first woman I ever had a crush on. I had that
as will happen.
Yes, and I was going through my puberty and my awareness of women growing up as a heterosexual male, and she didn't just set the tone because of her physical appearance, although she was really quite stunning. But she was this very intelligent, very strong woman. She had a great sense of humor, and I just loved being around her. And I could never get enough time around her, And she was married, and so she was always that. It was like an unrequited kind of thing.
Which crushed your spirit somewhat.
Yeah, but she was. I think of her all the time as I succeed in some commission piece I do or some project I do in the arts. I think of her a lot.
And Joe, as I've known you for a hot minute now, your work is wonderful. It's got all the touches of a talented artist. So
thank you, Mario.
There you go, my brother. I'll go a little further back because both of your recollections were of high school teachers. I'll go as far back as 4th grade. Mrs. Virginia Gutierrez, I believe was her married name, 4th grade teacher at Henry Grady Elementary School. And I remember her, first and foremost, because her last name was Gutierrez, and I was Nunez, and I thought, well, okay, that's kind of cool. There aren't too many other Latinas that are teaching here, and I didn't even know, really, I didn't think she was Latina, although she could have been, but she certainly married a Mr. Gutierrez. But she was so supportive, and I think that's the common thread here, that if you're listening, the listening audience just picking up on supportive, loving, would allow you to stretch your abilities and be the best that you can be, and support you when your efforts fell short. That is the other hallmark of a great teacher: patience.
Yes.
And being able to be there when the project doesn't quite come up to level expectation, but they're telling you, hey, don't give up, keep trying, keep trying. She was just an amazing teacher. Obviously, I'm 66 almost, and I still remember her to this day. And I want to mention also one other thing, because it didn't come out in the conversation with you two, but we should also remember that our coaches are also teachers. They're teachers first.
Yes.
They're just teachers in the athletic world. And I had Angel Arenas. Mr. Arenas was our PE teacher at Grady Elementary School, and he was incredible. Again, another Latino from Ybor City. But also just the kind of guy that, everybody you wanted to be on his team. He was just a great, kind and compassionate man. Also in high school, we had another coach, Ray Perez, who is soon to be inducted into the Jefferson High School Alumni Hall of Fame, who was just a kind of impactful coach that not only did he know the X's and O's, as it were, on the on the field of play, but the same kind of coach that would support you and say, hey, you can do this. You can be anybody you want to be. Go out there and go make the world, take it by the tail. So a shout out to Miss Virginia Gutierrez, who's probably no longer with us because she was an older teacher back in 1966 when I was in her class, 67, and the coaches who do incredible work with young athletes. And that's not easy.
Absolutely.
That's not easy.
And sometimes, too, that our non-instructional staff, our custodial staff, and
lunchroom ladies, as it were.
Yes,
the lunchroom staff.
Lady, the lunchroom staff, the student nutrition staff, and even maintenance, the maintenance guys. They
One
sometimes...
more. Remember the ladies in elementary school when you got sick and you got a tummy ache? And
the nurses.
Yeah, what were they called back then? Do you remember?
No.
They were called, Joe, you ready? You remember? They were called the Gray Ladies.
The
Gray ladies. And I think it's not because that was your color when you went in there because you were sick, because they wore uniforms, the medical uniform, they were gray.
Wow.
The Gray Lady. And if I'm wrong, 813-239-9663. I want either confirmation or I want somebody to dispute the fact that the ladies were the Gray Ladies. Okay,
the Gray Ladies.
And not to be confused with the Candy Stripers,
correct?
Which were volunteers that worked in the hospital. See, we're all the same age, right? So this is all the same generation,
right?
Okay, I'm sorry, Susan. I cut you off.
No, you're good. So sometimes they impact students in such a different way that maybe you might have that shy kid that gets overlooked. I mean. And they too play a huge part. So thanks to all of them.
Our teachers are important. We have to talk about things that are now. We've talked about your past, kind of your present. Let's talk about what's coming around the next corner with about 9 minutes left in show. I know you've got a lot of exciting stuff, and this is where we can inform the community as to what's the next big thing for Susan, Representative Susan Valdez.
Oh my gosh! Well, besides being election time, this is the time I won't be headed back to Tallahassee until, God willing, get resworn in. For my senior term. I can't believe this is my last term.
So it's a 4-year term?
It's a maximum of 8 years, so it's 4 2-year terms. Time just doesn't wait on anybody.
And every time you go back up to Tallahassee, you get sworn in again? So every session you get sworn in?
Every 2 sessions.
Every 2 sessions. Okay, got you.
So this is my last term, and that's... what's after that? I really haven't thought about it because we gotta win this one first.
Correct.
And see where everything else. But besides that, though, I want to share with you all. There's coming up 2 events that are coming up in the community that everyone is welcome to come to on August 10th. From 8 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon at Leto High School. I'm going to be hosting our 19th annual back-to-school health fair. And the first thing that the kids receive is a book bag full of supplies. These book bags, my friends, are full. They have 5 file folders, 5 notebooks, 2 reams of paper, composition notebook, markers, crayons, color pencils.
Excellent.
The whole bit. So I don't want any child not being able to go to school on the first day.
And be prepared.
So that's one way of being able to continue to live the vision of preparing students for life.
A teacher at heart.
So the other event, the following Saturday at August 17th at Alexander Park, we're going to have our first ever block party.
Wait a minute. Where is that going to be again?
That's going to be at Alexander Park, which is... I think the address is 5602 North Lois Avenue, right behind Alexander Elementary School.
Sure.
And Pierce Middle School. There's a big park there. We're going to have a block party just to celebrate. Again, welcome back to school. And so come on out. We're planning on having food trucks, ice cream, music. Of course, we have to have dancing because
it ain't a party without dancing.
It ain't a party without dancing. We have kickball, things for the kids to do. So come on out, enjoy the community because at the end of the day, we have to celebrate each other and support each other. So unity in that community is important.
And let me just say that if you're not too tired from dancing and playing kickball and enjoying that afternoon at Alexander Park. The very next day, August the 18th, we alluded to it at the top of the show. We'll be talking about it from now until the event in a couple of weeks. We're going to be at Pin Chasers. We're going to be bowling. We're going to be bowling. It's going to be a fundraiser. It's going to be an incredible WMNF style. The dude abides. We invite everybody to join us.
And the dudettes. The dudes and the dudettes.
And the dudettes.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we are going to, this is, everybody's welcome to join us. King, you're going to have a team. I'm going to have a team. We'll be bowling against each other. Of course we will. And then there's going to be other teams there. And all of the programmers are going to be there. So come out and meet us. Rep, did you have something you wanted to throw in on this? I understand that you might be available to join us as well.
Well, I thought I was going to be able to, but I remember, guess where I'm headed? The DNC convention on the 18th.
Oh my, that's right.
That's
Let's
right.
ring a bell for that. You're going to be you are one of Florida's
Delegate, yes.
delegates.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right.
So
how cool is that?
That is awesome.
Is
It's
this
so
your first opportunity
This
to go to
is my
the
first opportunity
Right?
to go.
Excellent.
So
It's great.
I have no idea what to expect. All I know is
long days? That's what I'm going to tell you. Long days.
days.
Put a Snickers in your pocket.
Absolutely.
Put a Snickers
and
in your
lots
pocket.
Of jazzy hands. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
I
These are
agree.
the applause. We're
so
applauding.
I'm looking
Applauding.
for my Democrat blue stuff and all this. Anyhow,
Your donkey
so,
earrings. Go on now. Go on now.
So
It's gonna be great.
absolutely, it's going to be a great time. I'm hoping that it's going to be great energy at the convention, and wow, I'm just so excited.
And it wasn't 3 weeks ago. It wasn't that. We weren't looking at that. We were looking at a contested convention. We were looking at something completely other. But it seems that things have coalesced. Things have actually now gotten into we seem to be all looking in the same direction, which is very difficult for the Progressive Party, for the Democratic Party, because one thing we know about the Republican Party, they kind of, they fall in line, where the Democratic Party tends to fall in love. And, herding sheep is easy, but herding cats is a whole different kettle of fish. How many animals can I put in this analogy? I don't know, but I'm on the roll now. So all I'm saying is I wish I was going to be with you, Rep, because I think you're going to have a great time.
That's going to be a really...
what a growing experience. Will you be blogging or vlogging or doing anything
I'll be
online?
doing a lot of
Facebook
Live and
Good.
stuff. Yeah, because for
There we go.
people, because...
Keep us informed.
I was never a part of it before, so I can only imagine if I could show and share with others what we're experiencing. Hopefully, they'll feel like they're there with me, and experiencing it. And I got to tell you though, I have to commend President Biden for all of his efforts, for his years of service, his wisdom, his astuteness of how he conducted himself and continues to conduct himself in that office. What an honorable man.
Well said. Well said. I can only add to that and how interesting is it in this unit in time where we find ourselves, where the president has taken himself, as is historic, the president has taken himself out of the nomination process. So now the vice president, the heir apparent, and logically so, has stepped into that role. So now whilst she is campaigning, the president is still at the Resolute desk doing work. You follow me? I mean, that's like the hand is still on the tiller. He's not out campaigning and trying to do the president's work. He's at his desk doing the president's work. Joey, weigh in on that, my brother. I know how you feel. We got about a minute and a half.
I think that it's a great moment.
Historically.
It's historically a great moment for so many reasons. I think that I supported the president, and I would have supported his decision to remain, of course.
Me too.
I felt that decision had to be his. It was. I think he took the dignified route.
100%.
I think that it's good for the country, and that's what he was supposed to be doing. And I think we have the potential of a historic moment to elect a president that is a woman. And I think that is an amazing moment in time for us. And with all the other things she represents, I'm very excited. And I'd like to come back to Susan and talk about this moment that it's nice to talk about politics at the grassroots level and what it means to be a servant in the political field.
And I will say this, with just up against the hard clock to time to get out of here. But Joey, is there anything coming up next we need to inform our listeners? Keep it here locked, everybody. What's coming up next?
Well, absolutely. Join us after the conversation for It's the Music. And today will be the Jim Bannon edition. I see Jim over there readying himself as we speak. And then at 3, Traffic Jam with Nancy C is going to be on. And then we're going to go to, from 6 to 8, we go with Latin Jazz and Salsa with Speedy Gonzalez.
Speedy Gonzalez?
Yeah, Speedy's great.
So keep it right here on WMNF.
That's absolutely. And Latino 54 with Franco.
Franco Silva. Rep, let me just say, we love you. We're so grateful that you came in today to share with us. We'll have you back because we want to hear your first person eye experience, what happened to you in Chicago. Thank you, Rep.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you for having me. This was such a great time with you. And thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks to everybody for listening today and for our emails and our callers. On behalf of everybody that puts this show together with love in their heart, thank you for listening. Thank you, Jessica. And this is WMNF Tampa.